You've seen the hype. Agents that think, reason, and act on their own. But here's what most people don't realize. You don't actually need a computer degree, and you don't need to code for the most part. Because while most people are still watching tutorial after tutorial, others are quietly deploying agents that work with no-code tools. So in the next 30 minutes or so, I will show you how to build an AI agent that handles scheduling, replies to leads, and books meetings automatically. We've built versions of this for real clients. It saves them hours every week, and you can build it too. All with simple drag and drop blocks. I mean, you will see this is very practical. It's not theory, and it's very plug and play leverage. And by the end of the video, you will have your first working agent up and running. So let's build it. So look, AI agents aren't some fringe experiment anymore. They are becoming the interface to the next wave of business systems.
I think the notion that business applications exist, that's probably where they'll all collapse, right, in the agent era.
And just last year, agents were a buzzword, but now they are showing up in enterprise workflows and in product roadmaps and in investor decks. And search interest in AI agent as a term is up over 300% in the last 6 months. And according to McKinsey, agentic workflows will be over $100 billion opportunity within this decade. But there's a problem. While most people are stuck prompting, the action takers, the fifth lever disruptors, like I call them, are, as I said, quietly building autonomous systems, because agents are not automations. And we need to make that distinction, okay? Automations are static. A leads to B, B leads to C. Agents sense and decide and act based on your goals. They can adapt to new inputs, use external tools, even make trade-offs on the fly. So think of it this way. Automations are like vending machines. Fixed inputs, fixed outputs. But agents are like human assistants. You know, they're flexible, they're responsive, they're smart. And the great news is that you are not too late this time. But the window for being early is closing fast. So this is your chance to shift from prompt user to system builder. And to do that, you only need to understand one major thing, and that is how agents work. So let's break down what an agent actually is, because the people who build them are not writing, 10,000 lines of code. They just understand a simple system. And I want to break it down so it's very, very easy for anyone, no matter if you're just a beginner, to understand. So look, most automations are rigid. If A happens, then do B, and then do C, like I said. And that's fine for basic tasks, but it falls apart the moment that anything unexpected happens. And that's why agents are really different in that way, because they sense, they decide, and they act. They're not just following the rules, but they're choosing actions based on your goals. They think before they act. Number one, the brain. That's the language model, like GPT-4 or Claude or Gemini. It is what does the reasoning and the planning, and I'll show you in a moment. Number two is the memory. It remembers past conversations, documents, knowledge bases, and so forth. Basically, it's what gives the agent context, so it's not starting from scratch every single time, Dory style. And then number three, your tools. Those are the actions that the agent can take, like calendar integration, email, API, databases. This is how it actually does things in the real world. So think of your agent like a person. The brain is how it thinks, the LLM that makes the decisions. The memory is what it remembers, the past context, documents, conversations. And the tools, that's what it can do. Sending emails, checking your calendar, messaging a lead. Every agent, no matter how advanced, is just these three parts working together. That's it. And understanding this simple diagram, you will be able to build your first agent today and pretty much any other agent after that. But to really unlock what agents can do, you need to understand one more thing. And that is how they talk to the outside world. That is where we're using APIs. And while that probably sounds a little bit technical, it's actually very, very simple. So here's a better way to think about it. Let's say that you send a request, like pressing a button. You will get back a result in JSON, which is a data format that agents understand. And in tools like NA10, you don't even have to write code, because APIs are just puzzle pieces. You drag, you drop, and your agent suddenly knows how to fetch weather or book time or send a message. So now, what if a tool is not built in? Well, that's also fine. You can connect to any service with one block, which is your HTTP request node. It is probably one of the most powerful tricks in NA10 and one of the reasons why in our agency we focus on NA10. So basically you just copy the API URL, you plug it in, and your agents can talk to whatever outside source. It's like a cheat code. One block and your agent can access the entire internet, basically. So Now that you know how agents actually work, let me show you where we're going to build our one today. So this is a tool that is called NA10, and it is kind of like Lego for AI workflows. Because you don't need to code, you just drag and drop and connect blocks that are called nodes. Each node does one job, like checking your calendar and calling GPT-4 or sending an email. So you can think of it like building with building blocks, Legos. But instead of castles, you're building agents that make decisions and take actions. So why are we using an A10? I mean, we could probably make a separate video about that, but it's visual, it's flexible, it's very powerful. It supports dozens of built-in tools like Slack and Google and Notion and OpenAI. And for anything else, you can just plug in manually using the simple HTTP request that I told you about. And we have built real automations for our clients on NA10. And I know it works, we can trust it, and it scales. Okay, so what are we actually building today? So this is actually a real AI agent that we built for our school community as part of a practical hands-on challenge. It handles all the back and forth of scheduling, and you don't need to do any coding. You just use a few nodes combined together. It ties directly into your real calendar, your real email, and yes, it actually works. Not only have we deployed for clients, but we have people running this with their own clients as well. And I think the really cool part is that you will build this exact agent today, step by step. Then when you're ready to go deeper, you can go and join the challenge, you can improve it, you can get direct feedback from us and from the community, so you can be ready to also deploy it either for yourself or sell it to other businesses. Okay, so let's build your first AI agent step by step using an A10. So obviously, pretty self-explanatory. The first step you want to take is create a new workflow. So what you want to do is go ahead and click new workflow and name it. You can, call it appointment agent. And you can think of it like a folder where your entire agent lives. Everything connects inside this workspace. Is basically like your agent's house. Now, step number 2 is a very important one, and it's about setting the trigger. So you want to add a trigger node, and you can use a chat one. So when a chat message is received, or a different one, you can use webhooks, but I'm not going to complicate it here. So just go ahead and add a chat message as your first node. And essentially what a trigger is the thing that starts the workflow. So you can trigger your agent from a message, a form, a schedule. But in this specific case, we're starting simple with just a message. Now for demos, a chat trigger is usually the best, so you can interact live with it. So all you need to do is go ahead, search for the chat message received, and drag that in. Okay, so step number 3 is adding your AI agent. So go ahead on the right side, search for your AI agent and drag that in as well. This is the brain of your operation where all of the LLM decision making will happen. So what you want to do here is go ahead and double click on it. And I want to walk you through what you are going to see in terms of the parameters. So the source for prompt, you need to have it show connected chat trigger mode, because what you want is to connect the first node, the chat, to your AI agent. Now, in terms of the prompt, the user message, you will be dragging the variable from your chat in here. So it needs to say json.chat input. And then you've got your system message. So this is where you are going to explain to your agent who it is and what it does. And what we usually make sure we have in the system prompt is the role, the tasks, the tools, as well as the knowledge and any notes. So I'm going to make sure that you can see the system prompt that we are using for the simple AI agent. You can screenshot it and then make sure you go ahead and use it. Or if you want to make it even easier for yourself, you can come join our community for free, and you can get not just this, but also over 1 hour training step by step with even more details on how to download, how to install an A10 and everything about that. Or you can actually just ask ChatGPT to help you write the logic and the whole system prompt for you. Now, step number 4 is about connecting the brain. Okay, so that's your LLM, as I said. So what you want is to click the plus in the AI agent node and add either OpenAI or Claude or Gemini. So what you want is to make sure that you paste your OpenAI, if you choose that, API key, and that you choose the model that you think will give you the best results. For this particular case, we are going to use GPT-4 because I think it's going to give the best results. You can use Claude if it's a writing-heavy agent that you're building, or you can use Gemini for structured thinking or code writing, things like that. Now, one important thing is that this API key is different from ChatGPT Plus, so you want to make sure that you add funds under your OpenAI billing to be able to get your OpenAI API key. Okay, now step number 5 is setting up the memory. So what you want to do is add simple memory to your AI agent node, and you can set the message context window to as much as you want. Usually we keep it to 5, so you don't have to complicate it more than that. And as I said, this gives your agent short-term memory during a single run, so it can reference earlier steps or chats or conversations. Now, you can use named memory slots if you want to pass data between nodes, but again, I'm not complicating things here. Trying to keep it as simple as possible. So if you double click on your simple memory, your session ID should be connected chat trigger node, and then your session key, you can drag the variable from the side. All right, now we're moving to step number 6, and that is adding your tools. And here we're going to use your Google Calendar and your contacts. And your contacts you can have in a simple Google spreadsheet. So first of all, you want to go ahead on the right side and add your Google spreadsheet. And you will need to connect it to your Google account, and through that give it access to a specific spreadsheet where you will have exported all of your contacts or your client's contacts. So it doesn't have to be anything very sophisticated. It's a very, very simple contact spreadsheet with the name, the email address, the phone number, and any other information that is important or relevant for the calendar meeting bookings. That's it. And then if you double click on your spreadsheet, you can make sure that your tool description is set to manually, and then you can copy and paste what you see on the screen. So you can tell your agent to call that tool in order to get contact details about the people or the team members, such as email address, phone number, or anything else that you will have included in that contact sheet related to the name. Your resource is going to be the sheet within the document. And then your document, you are going to select it from your drop-down list. And you need to make sure that it is the document that includes the contacts, obviously. And then which sheet specifically in that document is the one that you want to be referenced. Now, we are going to need 2 more nodes related to the Google Calendar. One is to get the meetings, so to understand what already exists in the calendar, and another one to actually schedule the meetings, if that makes sense. Okay, so you are going to go ahead and add 2 calendar nodes, and you want to make sure that they're connected to the Google account, and you grant permission, and you select the specific calendar that you want the agent to work with, because each Google account might have multiple calendars, so you want to make sure that you select the specific one that you want to work with. Now, for your Get Meetings one, if you double click, then you want to make sure that your tool description is again set automatically. Your resource is event, and your operation is to get many. So it shows you everything that's in the calendar already booked. And your calendar, you need to select it from the list and make sure that it's the one that you're referencing. Now, when it comes to the after and before, essentially what those do is it tells your agent how much before and how much after the time slot that the user has requested the meeting to be in should go back or forward in order to retrieve the meetings that are already in the calendar. So you can stop the video here and you can screenshot what we have in those 2 fields, and you can just add the exact same in your own agent. Now, for your other node, which is to schedule meetings with the user, with the participant, you again need to make sure that it is connected and your tool description is set to manually. You explain, call this tool when the human asks you to schedule or book a meeting, a call, or an appointment, or an event with another person. The resource should be set on event. The operation is create, is not get many like we had before. Again, the calendar needs to be selected so you work in the right calendar. And then you have start and end. So essentially the start time needs to be the time that the user asks for the event to start on, and the end time will be the end time that the user asks for the event to end. Or if you preset it in the knowledge, then it'll know that if it's supposed to be a 1 hour long meeting, then it'll make a 1 hour long appointment. I hope that makes sense. Now, here you will have additional fields. So you will need to add an attendees field and a summary field. So for the attendees, you need to make sure that the attendee email consists of the email of the user asks the event to be with. And then for the summary, it's just the name of the event. So now you basically have an agent that can check your availability or your client's availability and then add meetings automatically. Now, you want to make sure that each tool becomes a named block that your prompt can also reference. It makes it a lot easier when you do that. I'm not going into super complex details, so I'm not going to talk about custom HTTP request nodes. So we will keep it very simple because we talked about building a very simple agent, which would be probably your first one. So that's where I'm going to leave it. But now we need to go ahead and test it. Now, in order to test our agent, you're going to go and hit your run workflow, and then you can go ahead and start chatting, and you can say, hey, can you help me book a call for next Tuesday with Laura, in my case? And then you're seeing that the agent is starting to work. And if it has all the information, it'll go ahead and book it for you. If it doesn't, then it'll ask you for more information so that it can do the right thing. Or if you're asking for the meeting to be booked while you already have another meeting, then it'll know to come back to you and let you know that this block is not available and that you should look for another time slot. Now, like you've seen, you don't really need to be super technical to build leverage. This was built with very simple blocks and a very simple logic. And now that it works, you can copy it, you can remix it, and you can go a lot deeper. Now, before you go ahead and deploy it, there is one last step that separates builders from professionals. And that is about adding guardrails, because I'm sure you know this, but I want to state a very obvious truth. Agents are powerful, but without constraints, they can hallucinate fast. They can make assumptions, they can misfire actions, or they can send the wrong message, especially when data is misleading or unclear and you don't know how your user is going to use it. So you want to prevent that. So that is why the top 1% always build in fail-safes. So what you want to do is inside your system prompt to add prompt constraints, okay? So you can, for example, add a line like, only reply if calendar availability is confirmed, or never send emails without verifying the contact information, or if uncertain, always ask, I wasn't able to find a matching time, will you please try again? This is where you hard code common sense and you don't assume, you don't act without clarity, and always have a fallback plan. So look, LLMs don't have judgment, or they do, but not in the same way that we understand they do. They mostly follow instructions. So you want to be explicit in what they can and cannot do. Now, if you do want to go one layer deeper, then you can always wrap your calendar node in a conditional check, and you can add fallback logic for empty results, or you can use if blocks to stop the flow if any critical data is missing. I mean, you can do a lot of sophisticated things. You can also add conditional nodes, so if something breaks or comes back empty, the agent pauses and reroutes. And that way, your agent knows when not to act just as much as it knows when to act. But again, I'm keeping it simple for today. So in order to move forward, you also want to test some edge cases. So you want to try a prompt where maybe no calendar slots are available, or maybe you want to leave out the contact name. This way, you can see how your agent responds and fine-tune your rules from there. This is the last 10% that makes your agent safe and stable and ready for the real world, because you would be surprised how people interact with chatbots or agents. It's not the way you imagine. Now look, you don't need to over-engineer it. Just a few simple, clear constraints and fallback rules, and your agent becomes very useful, but also super trustworthy. I hope you're excited. Congratulations, you just built your first agent. But there's a bigger win, I believe, because you didn't just learn a tool, you learned to think like a system builder. And this is no small win. It's huge, because it's not about the no-code tricks or task automation. This is about leverage engineering, because once you understand how agents think in terms of brain, memory, and tools, you can apply this framework to pretty much anything. I mean, we have built super sophisticated agents, but you can build, sales responders that qualify leads automatically, or onboarding agents that adapt by industry, or research assistants that summarize and sort and organize information, or internal bots that connect tools that you would use every day. The agent that you built today, that is just the first one. But now the hard part is over. You understand the logic, and once you understand the logic, the tools are interchangeable. Because we have to acknowledge, tools will change, but stack fluency is what lasts. The future isn't built by people who use AI. It is built by those who design with it. All right, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know if you did. Like it if you did. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so. Share it with anyone in your circle of friends or family who has been meaning to learn how to create agents with n8n and has been putting it off. This is the perfect, simplest way to start. And if you do want to take this further and you want to apply not just building one agent, but reaching out to people, finding your prospects, actually deploying it and selling it, then make sure you come and join our free school community. The link is over here. We have so much valuable content there for you. We do a challenge like this one every 2 weeks. So we will walk you daily, step by step, through what you need to do. There's a lot of feedback, not just from me, but from everybody else in the community. We're over 10,000 people right now. We have calls every 2 weeks where I share some new ideas or new insights that I've come across, as well as answer everyone's questions. And so far, those calls have been amazing. And I truly hope that you come and join, because you will be able to access them as well, because we're saving everything, so you will have access to the entire library. So hope to see you on the other side. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm so grateful that you're taking the time and that you are still here. You have no idea how amazed I am by the fact that you guys choose to watch our videos. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I do not take it lightly. I know everyone's time is very precious. So thank you again, and I hope to see you in the next one.